Coming up on AC 24/7, while Florida's governor tours the nation, the state's lawmakers return to the Capitol to take on his so-called anti-woke agenda, plus a controversial bill to deal with crime in our nation's capital, why it's being pulled from consideration amid bipartisan criticism. Hey there, welcome to AC 24/7. I'm your host, Lamar Baldwin. The Florida Legislature is back in session. Republican and Democrat lawmakers will be voting on the governor's self-proclaimed anti-woke agenda. That includes an education bill that would eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. As the Advocate Channel's Layla Santiago reports, some of our fundamental rights are at stake.
The bill prohibits classroom instruction about sexuality or things like transgender. This is inappropriate.
Trans lives matter!
Florida is where woke goes to die.
One of the latest targets for Florida's war on woke, the classroom. Republicans introducing bill after bill aimed at changing education.
And I believe parents in the state of Florida should be able to send their kids to elementary school without having an agenda jammed down their throats.
I believe firmly that public education is the ultimate equalizer. And if we erode and restrict access to that, then we are shifting the trajectory of the future of this state.
As lawmakers head to the state capitol this week, a wish list for Governor Ron DeSantis and his allies pushing to reshape education from pre-K through college. On the table, a bill that eliminates diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at public universities, prohibits instruction on gender studies and critical race theory. It also ends protections for tenured faculty.
No more discrimination. We're going to promote merit.
This proposed legislation bans any requirement to use pronouns deemed incongruent with the person's sex in schools, and it also bans classroom instruction related to sexual orientation or gender identity until 9th grade.
They should not be teaching a second grader that they can choose their gender. That is wrong.
This proposal creates a new statewide standard for sex education, requiring teaching that, quote, biological males impregnate biological females.
We need to spend time on teaching kids the basics, and when there are things that are injected that are clearly inappropriate, make sure that we're not doing that.
This bill establishes a universal school choice voucher program and expands who is eligible to receive a school voucher scholarship.
That basically raises the bar for everyone.
With the Republican-controlled legislature, the bill could add to the list of political victories for Governor Ron DeSantis to tout as he gets set to embark on an expected 2024 presidential campaign.
I think we've gotten it right on all the key issues, and I think these liberal states have gotten it wrong. I think it goes back to this woke mind virus that's infected the left and all these other institutions.
Everything is about out-trumping Trump, which means the policies before us are incredibly extreme and not necessarily popular among every Floridian, but more attempting to appeal to a conservative base.
Education has become the battleground for students, teachers, and for politicians.
The D.C. Council is planning to withdraw its controversial crime bill. It would have been the first change to D.C.'s criminal code in more than 100 years. And it would eliminate some mandatory minimum sentences. The Advocate Channel's Manu Raju tells us why the bill was facing bipartisan opposition.
The D.C. City Council set to face a rare rebuke by a bipartisan Senate majority, poised to rescind D.C.'s new crime legislation, marking just the fourth time Congress has taken such a step to block D.C.'s laws in the last half-century, now falling victim to the potent politics of crime.
Shouldn't they make their own rules and laws?
This is why D.C. should be a state. And so I advocate for D.C. statehood, but in this case, we have to really beware and be careful and make sure that people are safe in public.
Nevada's Jackie Rosen, one of several Democrats facing voters in 2024, planning to vote for the repeal and siding with President Biden, who surprised lawmakers last week by saying he supported the GOP-led effort.
I have real concerns about what they're doing. with regard to public safety.
Facing a defeat in the Senate, the chairman of the D.C. Council today announced he would try to withdraw the legislation in an attempt to stave off the vote. But Senate aides said that would not stop the chamber from voting this week to halt the local law, all causing fears among D.C. advocates that the latest controversy will undermine their push to make D.C. the 51st state.
It's quite clear to me that the headwinds that have prevailed in Congress are about the politics of next year's election and not about what's the substance in this criminal code.
The new measure marks the first time D.C. has made wholesale changes to its criminal code since 1901, including eliminating mandatory minimum sentences for offenses other than first-degree murder and reducing the maximum sentence for carjacking from 40 years to 24.
There's nothing about the legislation that decriminalizes carjacking.
But carjacking and some other violent crime in D.C. are on the rise, now testing Biden's rhetoric, backing D.C.'s autonomy as he prepares a potential re-election bid.
He believes, and he has for some time now, that D.C. should be a 51 state.
Yet the White House has backtracked on this issue, saying in a statement last month that Biden opposed the GOP resolution. Then 173 House Democrats, including members of the leadership and from swing districts, voted against it. Now they're seen as to the left of Biden on this issue.
I haven't had an opportunity to talk to the White House yet about the president's views.
The mother of a 25-year-old man killed by the Capitol Police in Jackson, Mississippi, is fighting to stop their expansion. Last year, the Capitol Police Force expanded to help with shortages within the Jackson Police Department. Now, Arkela Lewis fears what could happen if their jurisdiction is expanded.
I'm here today because I know there are bills that this legislature has introduced that will expand Capitol Police's authority, possibly to the entire city of Jackson, and that terrifies me. It also angers me. I don't want the tragedy and injustice that happened to Jalen to happen to others in Jackson.
The U.S. is taking steps to fight food supply scarcity all over the world. With pandemic-related supply chain issues, climate change, and international conflicts, food prices are higher worldwide. Many Americans are seeing higher grocery bills just as SNAP benefits are set to expire. The Advocate Channel's Mike Valerio has more on efforts to stop the hunger crisis.
The war in Ukraine exacerbating global food insecurity. Last week, the Biden administration announced 3 new partnerships in an effort to boost Ukraine's agricultural sector and help supply the country's grain to the world.
We've got to do 2 things at once. Get food to the hungry now, but also help countries build up their agricultural productivity and resilience.
The conflict directly hitting supplies of critical foodstuffs like wheat, corn, and sunflower oil, while also impacting global agricultural production.
Here's the thing that will affect the United States. 25% of the world's export of nitrogen-based fertilizer comes from Russia, Ukraine. And we don't have a viable substitute for that yet.
Here at home, many Americans feeling the effects, and for some, it could get worse.
We're preparing for an increased demand for food.
The rising cost of food is now set to collide with an end to COVID-era food assistance policy that increased SNAP benefits.
It's almost a twofold effect. The benefit levels going down, and people are already struggling with high food prices.
An estimated 16 million households receiving SNAP benefits will see them decrease by at least $95 a month beginning this month. But as food banks prepare to provide increased assistance to those in need, there is hope that a strong jobs market and improving wages will soften the blow. In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
Thank you for joining us for AC 24/7. For more content that advocates to you, go to advocatechannel.com and make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Lamont Baldwin.